Hello, my name's Bianca, and I'm here to tell you about a dating app mishap that happened once I finally got the courage to put myself out there after what I would say was a tumultuous separation between me and the father of my daughter. And, as nervous as I was actually also very excited to explore. And jumping onto an app and being able to be very selective about um, traits and desires and even how they looked was kind of cool. Um, and I came across a gentleman who checked all the boxes. He was super attractive. Everything that I liked about a man was in his profile. And when we started talking after we matched, he was absolutely perfect. I was so enamored with the fact that there was someone new and it was exciting, and you kind of have that initial honeymoon phase of wanting to go back out into dating. This gentleman who went by the name of Philip Swifty was hilarious. We had the same taste in music. He knew exactly what to say to make me laugh, to make me feel good. It was one of the first times I had been on an app, so I knew nothing about the dangers or about the potential issues that could arise. So Philip became somebody that within the first few weeks that I trusted right away. And I would tell him about my day, and I would just talk to him about where I was going and constantly just be in touch with him. At the same time, the father of my daughter, who was not exactly uh, discreet in his efforts to track me down, despite having a protective order on him, would somehow know where I was all the time. There would be avoidance of taking phone calls from me, and there would be avoidance of doing voice messages with me, and much less FaceTime. So I'd say that this had gone on for about 3 to 4 weeks. And I didn't care, though. I would send him voicemails all the time. I would tell him what I was doing. I would tell him how I'm thinking about him, and he would respond. He would reciprocate that. So I didn't think anything at the time. For me, his attention was enough. There was one time where he mentioned to me that he was listening to this very obscure band and that it was one of his favorites, and if I knew about them. And they were called Toots and the Maytals. Very obscure reggae-ish type band. And no, I had never heard of them. And there was one time that I had actually had to pick up my daughter from his house, which was a rare occasion. It was something that I tried to stay away from given the protective order. But in this case, there was no other way around it. So when I go to pick her up, he opens the door, her dad opens the door, and I hear Toots and the Maytals playing. That was my first, whoa, wait a minute. And I saw an expression on his face because he saw my expression, and he tries to cover it up right away. Almost a bit of a surprised expression. And I'm like, how do you know about Toots and the Maytals? He's like, I've always listened to them. Okay. And that's when I think things started to be a little bit more clear for me. So I did a little bit of research once I got home. I looked up the phone number on the reverse number lookup, and I was able to see that it was a VoIP. It wasn't like a real telephone number, for starters. And number two, I tried to do a background check on the name Philip Swifty. Obviously, nothing came up. It just all came together. Baby daddy always knowing where I was, him knowing exactly what to say to make me laugh, to keep me around. He knew how to manipulate me in every possible way. And here was Philip Swifty doing the same thing from a different perspective. It just started to come together for me. especially one time where I had met a friend to go for a dog walk, and he knew exactly where I was. He knew exactly where I was the minute that I went, and I had just told Philip Swifty that I was going to the park with a friend. So the fact that baby daddy could identify me and see me and be there to know that I was going to be there was already like a dead giveaway. And I knew at that point that I was dealing with a catfish situation. I emailed the dating app and I sent images of his face, his mugshot from previous situations, previous domestic violence situations, and I I said, listen, I'm dealing with this situation where I think I'm being catfished. This is his real phone number. I know that with dating apps you can't really use VoIP numbers, so here's his real phone number. Here's his mugshot. This is what he looks like. This is his history, and I think he's catfishing me because I don't believe that I have reason to believe that he has been following me and figuring out what I'm doing through this profile, through communication on this profile. So what worked out for us though is that I was able to negotiate with him given the criminal charges pending against him, plus previous criminal charges. We were able to kind of come up with a really good settlement deal that ultimately gave me full custody of my daughter, which was amazing. It just it just goes to show, as excited as we might get and as anxious as we might be to fulfill a place in our lives, fulfill a void in our lives, it's always important to just be really careful to take it slow, and allow intuition to speak to you, despite your desires and your wishes to be involved in something, because you never know. And I was completely head over heels swept away by this individual. And as far as the catfishing goes, especially for those of us who have survived domestic violence, these are very easy targets, very easy tools for stalkers, for people that just don't have the right head on their shoulders. So yeah, I hope that anyone dating, I wish that you would find love and exactly what you're seeking, and that it's done in a safe and happy way.